Welcome back to the Next Build podcast. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Elias. Please, if you could introduce yourself, kind of tell us what you're building.
Thanks for having us on, Mason. Appreciate it. So my name is Elias Curtis, and I started this company called Transform Design. I've been doing it for 17 years. So yeah, we started back in 2009. So we've been doing it for quite a while. And so, but before I get into that, I just want to let you know as well that I'm a husband, father, grandfather as a backdrop. But yeah, my passion is to help businesses, to help them to transform and to help them succeed and grow in their businesses. And so we help with websites, logos, brands, AI automation, lead generation, marketing, and so forth. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff.
I know we have a long podcast ahead of us. Should be a really interesting one for anybody listening. But we'll talk kind of your easy stuff to talk about: websites, designs, branding. What have you seen as the biggest shift from 17 years ago then to now? How's everything evolved?
Sure, absolutely. So when we started back in 2009, I mean, this is like the beginning of the social media boom, right? Where people started to jump on like Facebook and all those earlier, social media channels. So design was big. So people wanted to design their banners and, design their posts. And so we're big on that at the time. So whether it was logo design, brand design, or even print. So we got into that space where we're just printing brochures and business cards. And so that whole thing with paper was big. I mean, it's still big today, but it's not as big as it was back then now that we have, a lot of things that are online. But as far as the technology changing over time, it went from doing things manually for so long, from administration to automation to just so many different things that change and shift it, especially when we get into AI integration and automation. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, or I could say roller coaster, from up and down over the years. But yeah, I mean, as far as the services though, we scaled, went from brand design to then out to web space. So we got involved with website design development as well as social media, and then get into online listings and then into marketing last. So, but bringing it into a cohesive system is where we're heading, especially with AI. So building out those systems now will make things a lot more efficient and save on time. So that's a big shift, from going from 17 years till now, is the way things are done as far as tasks, daily tasks and workflow, and how we manage the work that we are doing and how much AI can actually help us with a lot of the legwork and the efficiency.
I want to talk more on the websites. I know you have some interesting takes that people just blow their mind on. You have something. You don't really think websites always need more traffic. Talk a little bit about this and inform anybody that doesn't know this.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, I mean, for years, we've been building sites, and they would be, what we call brochure sites, right? To have a presence, traditional sites, if you will. And so, I mean, it's good to have them because it's like, well, it's better to have something out than to have nothing at all. But the way we're heading, right, as far as like AI integration and lead generation specifically, is being able to have your website work for you rather than just have a presence. And then this can work out in different ways, whether somebody's calling you online, right, through your website. And then that phone number gets tracked through your CRMs. So it becomes a customer. And then you can nurture that lead in the back end to be able to follow with the lead in that customer or client. Same thing works with forms, AI chat bots, social media channels, messaging. All of those things are all connected to this system. And so it's not just a website, but it's more of a AI powered system is what we're offering to clients from here on out, because we just know the power behind it and what is done, not only just for our clients that we're working with currently, but what is done for our own company as a whole. And so, yeah, now you can get a website, but you're going to need a lot more than that.
Okay. So taking it farther along those lines, if we talk about the first 5 seconds, what are you really advising business owners to do? What should be different? What should they understand about that first 5 seconds and capturing the lead or the contact as soon as they come to the site? What are you thinking about? What are you pushing?
Yeah. So brand messaging. So that's the first thing, right? So when I go on your website, I need to be able to see who you are and what you offer and what's in it for me. Because if I can't find what I'm looking for, I'm gone. I'm out of there. And so, yeah, I mean, you can send tons of traffic to the site too. To your other question, just flesh that out just a little bit more. It's not about just sending traffic, because we can send all kinds of traffic to your website. We can do programmatic SEO. We can build thousands of pages. We can go in there and do SEO, GEO, AEO, and we can get into all of that if you'd like to. Uh, Send tons of traffic, but it's not about tons of traffic. It's about the right kind of traffic. It's about having their qualified leads, and are they converting, right? Because we can send a bunch of, traffic and get you a lot of leads, but if they're not converting, something's still wrong in the system. And so that's where we go in and we just flush it all out. We unpack it. We just get to the root of the problem. And then we just try to solve that as much as possible. And that comes with knowing the goals of the client, what they're trying to achieve. And then we help them to get there.
Yeah, what did the famous Frank Kern saying is like, if you're struggling for visitors, do you have a credit card? Can you run an ad? Just open up Google Ads Manager and punch in your credit card, and you can have clients going to your website immediately. Doesn't mean that your bucket's not shot with 10 bullet holes through the bottom, but if you don't patch anything, everyone needs more viewers, but that's never the solution, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's one of those things where I pretty much have that conversation the first time around. Like if I'm doing like consultation or auditing a website or even online visibility or presence, I'll ask them the question. I'm like, well, I mean, do you think it's right to start marketing right away? And they'll answer like, yeah, because they want to just get into the game so quickly to get results as fast as possible. But the issue with that is that they have to have a solid brand and a solid foundation in which to build upon. So when you start sending people through your channels or to your website directly, even if you're using paid advertising through Google, social media or LinkedIn or whatever channel you use, those leads convert. You get sales, right? Because the thing is, if you don't do your due diligence and build your foundation first, you're going to spend a ton of money sending people somewhere and they don't even know what to do, right? And then you got to be able to grow and scale that as well. So it has to be sustainable. And it's not sustainable, then it's just going to fall through the cracks and you'll just continue to stop your campaigns and your marketing efforts, which I would say build up your organic traffic first, see results with that. And then if you're making revenue through organic means, then you can always invest in paid traffic to get results quicker and faster traffic, to your point.
No, I think this is like something people are viewing the website as like an expense. I think a lot of people aren't viewing it as the best salesperson of all time, no matter what, when they're sleeping, when they're awake. This is the best salesperson that you have on your team, especially equipped with some of the AI stuff that I know you're working on. It's absolutely crazy. Talk to business owners that don't necessarily understand the difference about thinking about like an asset versus just like it as expense. I got to have it out there, and then people just know me and they'll hopefully find it.
It definitely is a different mentality. And then where we're heading is understanding digital assets and digital real estate, right? And so on the side, I have my agency, which is Transform Design. Okay, that's what I've had, the business for 17 years. But then I also have a white label SaaS website called businesslaunchos.com, right? That is an AI powered business operating system. Okay. And so basically how it works is if you have businesses that don't have an online presence, they don't really have much of anything online, then they can subscribe to this website and be able to have everything they need to have a fully functional online presence online within a week. Like literally, they have a website, they'll have automations, they'll have their social media channels configured, they'll have online listings for their business pretty quickly, okay? And high quality. So everything we do is pretty much tailor made. So, it's nothing like a template, nothing's just cookie cutter. And, we don't really want to do that to clients. We want to make sure that they have a unique brand and they can build and be, unique in the market. And also, so on the side, back to the earlier point was, what I do is I build sites, just lead generation sites, affiliate sites, just because, somebody out there might want to buy a site that works for them, right? But so I spend a lot of time proving that the websites that I build can have traffic and then can produce revenue, because once they produce revenue, then I can sell the website at a higher profit based on multiples, right? And so I have a listing on Flippa and different marketplaces online, and that's like a whole nother thing, but that's on the side of investing. So as you're building business, you also have to think like an investor when it comes to online investing in digital real estate. And so that's kind of, how I do things online. There's a lot of opportunities out here, man. Yeah. So a lot of people can learn about it and jump into it.
I think you've got a special set of skills, and it's hard. It's a little hard for everybody. I know that's why they come to you. But talking back, AI truly solving problems for business owners. How should they decide what AI they need for their business? What is actually belonging on their website, or what is the right thing for their business? What are you actually talking to? What are you recommending for people?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're dealing with different kinds of people, right? You have people that are, they like to get into the weeds, per se. Like they want to know all the details and ins and outs of the technical nature of how things work. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, I want to go in back of the search console and I want to see how many pages are being indexed. Or, I want to get into the AI models and I want to know exactly which ones to use. I mean, there's good models and there's bad models, right? So you got to just to flesh through and go through all of those models to see which stack works the best for you if you're into technical things. And so, I mean, for example, I use different AI models. I'll use ChatGPT and Claude, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses. And then I'll even combine them and use them together, and I'll have them talking to each other, right? And to produce a certain kind of result or a certain outcome, if it's like a daily task or a website build or some kind of automation, right? And so the whole thing is, as long as you can connect all the pieces together and build a solid system that can work independently from you, at least 80 to 90% of the time, then you build something pretty solid. Of course, that extra 10% is human ingenuity and refinement and going in there and making sure that everything's working properly. And so that's more the management part of it, is where you're able to stay on top of what's working, what's not, making sure that everything's flowing well. And especially if you're generating revenue, right? MRR, recurrent revenue on a monthly basis in your business, then you can just build and scale upon that, because now you have proven data that shows that it works, right? Because facts and data, numbers, they don't lie. So if you're scaling and you're growing over time, then you just continue to do that as long as you can.
Absolutely fair. So, on the topic of websites and sites, do you think over the next years, in your opinion, are websites going to be less important, or are they going to be more important as agents become more popular and that's not where agents are going to be served? What do you think that kind of goes as AI becomes more popular? Is it still going to be the same pressure to have a traditional website, or where do you think that goes?
Well, the traditional websites eventually going to go away. I could see it now. It's already happening. I'm doing a migration with a lot of our client base now, from moving over from WordPress over to an application, AI integration, right? And so we'll see, right? We'll see how fast we get there, but there's going to be a lot of traction, a lot more than what we're seeing today, because a lot of it is performance, like how fast the websites are, how well they're doing as far as the SEO, GEO, and AEO. Maintenance is a big thing. I'll give you an example. So before, I would have clients send me pages of emails of changes to do on their website. It would take me about, 1 to 2 business days to be able to get the changes done. But now those same amount of changes are getting sent to me. I can have those changes done within 10 minutes, very quick. And even if it's a difficult task, I can still charge accordingly, because, the work is very, very, it can get complicated. So that's why AI helps with a lot of the coding, and as far as that's concerned. So if we're dealing with API keys or scripts or iframes, then it really helps a lot to have AI do a lot of the legwork when it comes to building out those pages and using custom functionality.
And the hard part is, like, it's not how long it takes you to do something, it's how long it takes other people to do something. That's the weird conversation with AI. The people that are the best at AI, you still have to bill at a reasonable hourly rate and still have to get paid for what you're working on, even though you can finish stuff so much quicker than other people if you're actually well equipped. I just think it's like a weird conversation talking to like small business owners and people that are like owner operators that are plumbers or electricians, and they understand like their hourly rate is set and that's how they make their money. And then talk to everyone in the digital space, and 5 minutes can be $5,000 or 5 minutes can be $5. And it just really depends on what you're working on and the clients that you serve. I think it's a whole different world, and the ability for good people to do more. I think AI is just empowering able people to do so much more. And I think that's been a big lift. So AI really has been changing a lot of how business owners work, and especially for like smaller business owners, SEO, AEO, and GEO. What are some of the steps and processes businesses should be putting in place as all of these processes start changing? What are good steps to start taking, or what are some of the strategies that you're using?
Yeah. So I'll get to the strategy that we're using in a second, but the way it works with SEO, GEO, and AEO, right? Let's just explain the acronyms real quick. So SEO, search engine optimization, traditional search. So when you're building out a website, you have your pages, your sitemap, and you feed that to Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and that's how you're able to get your website listed on their search engine. So when they're searching on Google, Yahoo, and Bing, then they can find your business or your product service there listed in the search. Now, if we're talking GEO, generative engine optimization, now we're feeding AI models information about your business, product, or service based on citations and sources. So let's say you have data sources all throughout the web and visibility on different platforms, and you have, your contents, your phone number, your address, or whatever you have, then that information that's consistent across the board gets fed into AI, so it validates that trustworthiness and credibility piece, right? So that's important as you build trust online. So when somebody goes into a ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, then they can search in, plumber or roofer or lawyer in a certain area, and then you come up as like the top 10, right? And so that's where we're heading as far as, building out GEO across the web through AI integration. And of course, AEO, answers and engine optimization, is where you're answering questions. So you're building out pages, visibility across different platforms, answering very specific questions and giving answers, and people are searching for that as well. So that's part of the AEO. Now, the strategy that we're doing, and it's a lot of work using AI to do it, but it's called programmatic and semantic SEO. So programmatic SEO, how it works is we build out thousands of pages, like combination pages, we call them. It takes like locations and services and they blend them together. So for example, for transform design, we do a lot of different services. So let's say website design is a service, one of them that we do. And we pretty much build out individual pages for every location in the world. Well, not every location, but a lot of the main locations, right? Certain cities, main cities, metropolitan areas, some suburban areas, wherever there's visibility for what we do. We can build those pages out using AI integration and creating pages that are acceptable for the search engines to read, and is structured in the right way where you don't get technical errors. Because if you're getting errors on your pages, they're not going to show. And so being able to bypass that legally and ethically and by their policies, right? Then we can be able to have more visibility across the web, which is going to be very, very important, especially when you're competing in such a very heavily saturated space, right? Because once agencies and a lot of web developers get the handle on how to do this, then it's going to become very popular, and it's going to be literally like Monopoly. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you play Monopoly, man. Like it's going to be like that online. Like whoever's going to build the biggest, I don't say empire necessarily, but you get the point. And so whoever has the most visibility with businesses and connect it. And so this is why it's important for our company, because every site that we build, we have our website at the bottom of the page saying that we built it. And so those are called backlinks. And so those are organic, right? Which also helps with the ranking and visibility. And so the semantic SEO has to do with how human the content is, right? Dealing with places and things, and being able to like read it and feel like, okay, this is a good read. This is good content. This is something of value. And so that's what we bring to the table, is making sure that we're just not putting stuff up, like spitballing, hoping that it's going to stick on a wall and stay there, like, and not fall off, right? We want to make sure that every page that we build gives value to the reader and to the searcher. And so that's pretty much the big picture on the whole SEO landscape. But I know that was a lot, but that's where we're heading with this whole thing.
I think that is very hard for some people to understand how the digital assets really work. If people haven't tapped into some of the Flippa stuff and in seeing some of the things that you're working on elsewhere, it's gonna be a little fun to see. Talk about like what are some of the biggest mistakes you see business owners making? Obviously, it's gonna take someone like you or someone like me to help them. But what are some of the mistakes that you see business owners making when they're trying to use AI in marketing and pushing out like programmatic sites?
The thing is, you have to be patient because it takes time to build this out. For example, I launched our site, transformdesign.com, the new site, 4 months ago. Now, we've had an online presence and visibility and authority for many, many years. We've had our domain for 16 years, right? So we have a domain authority that's up in like 40s, which is which is not bad, right? 100 is the highest. So over time, we're going to work that up and hopefully by within the next year or two, we'll be in the 60s, right? But the higher it gets, the more the ranking factor takes effect and the more visibility and traffic we can get. But as far as mistakes, oh man, there's so many of them. So many of them, man. Like we could do a whole podcast show on the mistakes of like design or, how websites are built or, the way people, build up the processes in their lead generation. Even automation can be done wrong, right? And so a lot of the pushback that I get is usually around trusting AI, right? Some people just don't trust it. They're just like, I've been doing this way for so long, and I'm not sure if I want to be able to adopt AI into my system. And so maybe give it a little more time. So there's patience for that. But for them, I can see that they're missing out on so many opportunities to have things cut in half as far as time, because time is a big thing. If you can be efficient with your process and your system, save a ton of money, and even get the results that you're looking for at an efficient way at a sooner time frame, then I'm like, that's better. But it's also like one of those things where, well, it seems so good to be true. Are you sure you can do this? I was like, well, it works for our company. Like, I can only tell you what works. Now, whether you believe it works or not, then you just have to, sit on it, do your, deliberation, pray about it, whatever you do, like take some time, right? And then you can always come back to me and we can always pick the ball where we left off at. But yeah, it's one of those things where if they're not seeing this opportunity, that it is an opportunity for them to do well in their business, then yeah, they're gonna slowly be left behind in this AI movement, if you will.
The biggest mistake when
Yeah.
using AI is not using AI. I think it's fun. I think that's a line right there to really highlight this one. But like looking 5 years ahead, what do you think everything will look like for SEO, branding, and AI? How do you think that's going to look? Do you think there's going to be specifically like AI generated sites that only agents are looking for, or what do you think that's going to go?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the efficiency part of it, right? I mean, we're at a point now where I can literally build some pretty solid sites within 3 days. If a business came to me and said, "Hey, I want a construction website," typically they'll pay about $2,500, $5,000 per website, right? And it usually would have took me 1 to 2 weeks, but I tell them like, look, I can create you a solid site, a lead generation site, an AI powered system site, less than a week, and have it up and running and get paid the same. So for me, it's not how long it takes as much as what is the outcome and what is the final result. Because that's what they're really paying for. They're paying for the value of what you're giving them. So if I'm able to position them and give them something of value, then they're going to move forward with us if they see it. It may take time for them to be able to see it. Some people see it right away and they're like, yeah, that's it. I'm going to work with him right away because I've been burnt over here. I've wasted thousands of dollars. Those are the worst stories. I've wasted $5,000 and I didn't get nothing in return. I'm like, look, I could have done everything you wanted for half that cost, and you would have been up and running today by the way things are going with AI integration. So
It's hard to say though, like it looks so clear to us, but everything looks so mystified, so crazy to everybody else. But it's something that we live in the AI echo chamber, like the stuff that seems so easy to us, man, getting on a computer for some people it's harder. It's not
mhm,
easy for everybody, but
right,
talking to other business owners and talking to people, it's just like there's so many different variations
mhm,
of proficiency with technology and then also with AI. It blows people's minds sometimes whenever you're like, oh yeah, we'll get it done this week, not 6 weeks. But
right,
that's been a story that's changed pretty quickly. And
mhm.
you still get a little worried, but if you have the systems in place, it is absolutely no doubt. If a business owner though doesn't know if their website is or isn't working or doesn't know what's out there, what would be the first thing you tell them to look at though?
So we
They're
have to audit. Yeah, we have to audit. That is the first thing we do. Like if they're startups are pretty easy to deal with when it comes to building this out because they're starting out, right? They don't really have much of anything except for the plan and the budget, and they're just like, okay, let's go. And so it's a lot easier to build from that foundation and then scale up. But when we're dealing with established businesses that have been in business for 15, 20, 30 years, perhaps, like we got to go in there and sometimes we got to tell them like, I think it's time for a rebrand, And so now we're going to change the brand, not necessarily completely, but just enhance it. Okay. But get them into a better system that works for them, right? Especially AI power systems, because a lot of their staff probably they're doing things manually, right? And so, but the fear and the concern is if they adopt AI integration, they're going to start cutting the staff in half, which that may be the case, right? Because you have AI assistants now that can take the jobs of you have VAs, you have, people who are doing hiring processes and all these other, things that even development and design, like I had to do that, unfortunately, right? I had a team of developers and designers for years, for over a decade. And then this past year, I had to tell them, look, I'm not letting you guys go, but I will let you guys know when I need you. And so 90% of the work that we're doing, AI is doing it. And so it's good for us because we could save costs, but of course not for them because they're like, man, AI is taking our work. And so I try to bring them on board and say, hey, let's partner, let's get together, and hey, perhaps some businesses, and we can do like a referral partnership thing. And so there's ways to go about doing it, so it's not like you're just abandoning the ship completely. You want to be able to help the best you can, but you also have to use wisdom when it comes to making these choices. So
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of
yeah,
businesses are way off on that. It's hard to say. Just running Zaptime and building it and seeing the most capable people with AI and like how they spend their time and how they spend their day, it's
yeah,
just foreign to somebody that doesn't understand it. But I think a lot of businesses are farther away on this. But the
mhm.
way that successful business owners are running it, it's a good light. If people wanted to see how you're doing certain things and wanted to connect with you, where is the best place for people to connect with you at?
Okay, so my agency is transformdesign.com. So you can always reach out to us through there. It's our service-based website. So we do a lot of things. So you can check us out, have questions, reach out. And then we have our SaaS site, the business operating system, businesslaunchos.com. So that's very interesting. And we haven't heavily promoted that yet, but eventually we're going to get there. But yeah, it's ready to go.
Thank you. I hope to see you back in another one.